Hello, today I'm going to talk to you about 5 reasons why I am so grateful for living in France. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Patricia Brooks and I am an American living in the south of France and have been since 2018. And I help people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives living and thriving in a foreign country find the confidence and courage to dig down deep so that they can not only get to their foreign country, but thrive there. And on this channel, I talk about my life experiences in France, about moving abroad in general, and how to find those tools that will help you to have the right mindset and find that confidence that you have within you to do the things that mean the most to you. And today I am going to talk about gratitude, what I am grateful for about my life here in France. And I'm talking about this right now because it is Thanksgiving in the United States. And I want to start off this conversation by talking about some foundational things that I am grateful for, things that have allowed me to recognize that I wanted to live in France, things that have allowed me to find that confidence and courage to actually make it happen. All right. And I want to start off with the fact that I am so grateful for my mother and father. They were wonderful parents and I gained a lot from them. One of the things that they instilled in me was the French language, the love of the French language. Now, I did not catch this until, a few years ago, but early on, both my parents had taken French at university and we traveled to Quebec City and they tried to speak French with the Quebecois. And so that was a part of my earliest memories. And so I think that is something that kind of drove me to want to live in France and speak French fluently. So without that, I might not be living in France. Additionally, I am grateful to my father for the discipline that he instilled in me, as well as for the idea of having a rainy day fund, because having an emergency fund or a rainy day fund is the thing that allowed me to leave my job and come live in France for a couple of years so that I could figure out what my next professional steps were. And so without that, and without having gotten out of debt, I don't know that I would have been able to make my move to France. So thank you, Daddy. I am also so very grateful to my mother, who her independent spirit and her recognition that life was too short to be in a situation that was not suitable for her or for her children, and who decided to leave my father and get a divorce and raise 2 young children as a single mom, was something that I did not recognize until quite recently, the impact that it had on me. I just finished writing the 3rd draft of my 3rd book. And in it, I talk a little bit more about this, but her resolve to say, no, I'm not happy in this marriage in the late 70s when a woman didn't leave or didn't leave as often as she might today. I took that and I saw that and recognized that while I was in a job that I didn't like, it paid the bills. If I left that, then I would be left to my own devices to figure that out, the financial piece out. But I gained strength from her example. So I am thankful to my mom. Thank you, Mommy. All right. And so those were a couple of things that helped me to make my move abroad. There are other things, other characteristic traits or qualities or habits that I developed over my lifetime that also allowed me to move to France. And I'm going to touch on those briefly, and then I'm going to get to those 5 reasons why I am so grateful for my life here in France. I'm also very grateful for having the ability to be open to change and to grow. 15 years ago, I was not the kind of person who would decide to leave her job and move to France. That was not the person I was, but I did it. And that is a testament to the fact that I was open to changing personally and seeing things differently. And without that, I would not be here in France. I also want to share that I am thankful for my resilience, because you can make changes in your life, but unless you're resilient, those changes might not stick. My first year here in France was challenging, like I think most people's first year in a foreign country is. I didn't know anybody. My language skills weren't as good as I thought they were, and challenges abounded. But because I was resilient, because I recognized why I wanted to be here, I was able to move through those and now get to a place where I feel pretty comfortable, feel so much more at ease in terms of the cultural differences or the challenges that might face me in doing something I've never done before in a foreign country. So resilience is another quality that I am so grateful that I have been able to build up in myself. And finally, on the characteristic front, I am so grateful for my ability to have faith in and trust and follow my intuition. This is not something that I was born with. I am a very logical person. I did things in the past that was purely based on how rational it was. And that got me varying degrees of success, but not always happiness. And sometimes not even success, because I would go through something that didn't feel right, like taking my first job out of university, even though my gut told me to run the other way, and having a very bad experience for 9 months until I got fired. All right. So now, however, I have faith in my intuition. I can trust it. I can sense it, and I can follow it. It's really the main reason that I am here in France. My intuition guided me here, and I listened. I was not a logical thing for me to be here. How was I going to support myself if I quit my job and didn't have a job lined up for myself here? But here I am 7 years later with my own business that I am able to support myself with, right? If I listened to logic, I would probably still be grinding it out in the US at a job that 7 years later didn't make me any happier than it did when I started it. All right. So why am I so grateful for my life here in France? Well, number 5, I am grateful for continued opportunities for personal and professional growth. I moved to France for a couple of reasons. I like a challenge. I like to stretch myself. And I moved here because I knew that I wouldn't be looking around for challenges to stretch myself for a long time, because just getting settled and situated in France and with the language was going to last for years, and it has, and it continues to. I wanted to become fluent in French, and I have, but even though I consider myself fluent, I am stretching myself further because I'm about to take the DELF exam, Diplôme Approfondi Française, Langue Française, and this is challenging me. It has made me recognize that I have a long way to go to get to the level of French that I want to have, but it's challenged me in a fun way. Additionally, having my own business, that is a business that I am required to have to support myself, poses lots of challenges because with anything, there are lots of changes to the market. There are lots of opportunities to seize, and staying current and ahead of the curve is a challenge that I love. So that is the fifth reason that I am so very grateful for my life in France. Number 4 is the healthcare system. While I am living in a medical desert and I am in the process of looking for a general practitioner who is right for me, who is not too far from the village I live in, I have access as a non-citizen, but a resident, to the Carte Vitale, which is the health insurance card here, the National Health Insurance Card. Additionally, I have access to a mutuelle, which is a supplemental insurance. And the cost of that is quite reasonable. For what I pay for a year's coverage, many Americans pay for a month of health insurance. And so I feel so grateful for the accessibility of healthcare here, but also for the affordability. The third thing that I am so very grateful for about my life here in France is the beauty that surrounds me. Now, this might sound funny to you. When I was going through coach training, we did an activity where we identified what our core values were, our key core values were. And core values are our beliefs or principles that guide us in life. They guide us to do the things that we do or don't do. And they feel really good when we're honoring them. And so when I was in coach training, I saw beauty on the list of core values and I questioned it. I thought, how can beauty be a value? But I remember it standing out. Well, fast forward to 9 years later, I am living in such a beautiful place. I'm so grateful to be able to wake up and look out and see the tops of mountains. I'm so grateful to go out on my balcony and see the nature and see the top of Canigou, Mount Canigou. And it just makes me feel so good. And so while beauty as a reason for moving to France was not on my radar, it is a reason that I so enjoy my life here. And it's not only the beauty that is in my village, but that is in such close proximity in other towns and villages and cities here in France and in Europe. I travel to Spain quite frequently, or at least I did this year, and got to tap into the beauty of Spain. So that's another reason that I am grateful. The beauty, but also the proximity to other beautiful countries in Europe. Number 2 is I am so grateful for the cost of living, which allows me to be an entrepreneur and do the thing that I am most passionate about and make a living where I can support myself, where I can have the things I need and not feel stressed about it. In the United States, if I was an entrepreneur making what I'm making, I would be struggling. I would be struggling because not only the cost of health insurance would break the bank, but also the cost of living. From what I've heard from people who are still living in the United States, inflation has gone through the roof. The cost of housing has gone through the roof. And so if I were doing what I am doing and making what I'm making in the United States, I would be struggling financially. But here in France, I am able to live comfortably. I am not stressed about money or how expensive things are. And this goes from, housing to, food to the out-of-pocket medical expenses that I might have. Those things are so much more reasonable. And I'm so grateful to that in large part because I get to have a career, finally, that I enjoy. One where I wake up and I spend a lot of time working on, but it's a labor of love. And I can't say that for any of the jobs that I held when I was in the United States. So I'm so very grateful for that. And the number one reason I'm so very grateful for my life here in France is that living here in France, I feel really good. I couldn't have expressed this when I was living in the United States. So only after I moved out of the United States that I recognized that I felt an undercurrent of tension the last few years that I was living there. And when I moved to France, I didn't have that. I felt incredibly free to be more authentic, to not have to wear a mask, to speak the King's English as a Black person so as not to be seen as stupid. Things of that nature. And so early on in my first year, part of that freedom I had or felt to be myself was that nobody knew me here. Wasn't going to run into anybody who knew me and have to do small talk. If I was gawking at a mountain in the distance, and that looked a little peculiar, it didn't matter because nobody knew me here. But even now that I have a community of friends and acquaintances that I run into all of the time, I still feel free to be myself. There is a level of authenticity that I'm able to express here that I didn't feel when I was living in the United States. And so this freedom to be me is life-giving because as I show up the way I was meant to show up, other people can see what I'm doing and they can see a glimmer of what they might be capable of their ability to show up and to shine. And for me, there is no better feeling than know that I am helping people to live the kind of lives they know they were meant to. It's just so life affirming. So those are 5 reasons that I am so grateful for my life in France, and also the foundational things that I am so grateful for that allow me to have this life here in France. Which one of those speaks to you the most? Let me know in the comments. All right. I think this video and this topic is so very important because we can get caught up in life and in living and in seeing all of those things that are not going our way, that don't seem right to us, that seem unjust or unfair. We are wired to have this negativity bias. But the beauty of gratitude and a gratitude practice where you maybe journal 5 things that you're grateful for every day, not just on Thanksgiving, can help to rewire your brain so that you are more aware of the things that are going right in your life. And when you are more appreciative, when you recognize those things that you're thankful for or grateful for, that changes your brain chemistry. It stirs up the feel-good hormones so that you are more productive, feel more positive, more open to being of assistance to others, and just feeling good. So I want to leave you with this on Thanksgiving. What are you grateful for? Let me know in the comments. So I want to leave you with something else to be grateful for. I would like to give you my Pathfinder Oracle. This is something that will help you as you plan your move abroad. A lot of times I hear people say, I really don't even know where to start. This tool will help you to identify where you are in the process and what things you should be doing based on that. And it gives you some resources so that you can take care of what you need to take care of so you can get to the next step, and then finally make your move abroad. So I'm going to put that link in the description, or you can go to thecouragecatalyst.com/Pathfinder and download it today. Now, that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.